click to unmute. Okay.
So same as we did earlier?
Yes. Okay, I hope we're recording.
So
I
you're
think we
recording
are.
the images too?
Yes, so from the class I recorded and
I see.
then so that we can review parts of it. Okay.
Okay. Oh,
All right. Let's
I apologize.
No, you're fine. You're fine. You're good. Let's make sure we're both kind of in the camera. Might change the angle. Okay, so there we go. Okay. So again, I do want to thank you again for allowing me to come into your classroom, learning about your educational history, and what has brought you this far. It's very rewarding to hear such, um, good educators and people that still believe in the system that are really trying to make a difference in students' lives. And just from you showing me the pictures and still telling me stories about the students, I think that's awesome, and that's how it should be. We always hear about those teachers that make differences in other and students' lives, and they come back and they tell you all about it. So I think that's wonderful to hear. So again, I do appreciate that.
Oh, you're very welcome for those kind words.
So, well, when we met last time, we did discuss a couple of the California standards for the teaching profession, the CSTPs. And so we discussed that you were going to be focusing on connecting learning for students, prior knowledge, backgrounds, life experience, and interests, and then also 1.3, connecting subject matter to meaningful real life context. So, in yesterday's lesson and the presentations, like how did that go? Did the students meet these two standards?
I think so.
Okay.
Um, as you probably witnessed, each one of the students, well, number one, we have two groups. I have two classes essentially.
Mhm.
And although I teach them separately, they do come to a certain point where they um, do culminating events. They will display what they know, and they're very similar. Their level is very high. One is literature, the other one is AP, language and culture. And so each one of the articles had to do with something that is very relevant to them now and relevant to their lives and what they know. That's why they were speaking so freely. They had about a week and a fraction to start thinking about it at home. And I gave them probably about an hour, uh, 15 minutes here and there for them to prepare as a group. And then the literature one, they had just concluded reading a 15th century piece in 7 chapters about someone who was homeless way back then and relevant to that time, but also relevant to today. And we connected it to homelessness, being an orphan, being poor, and that kind of stuff. So they know how to talk about those things because some of those kids um, are suffering the pinch of economic challenges,
Yes.
to
Yeah.
use common language.
Okay.
It's not a challenge. They're hungry.
Yeah.
But anyway,
And so, how do you know the students? Okay, so they read the article and they presented. So, how were you prepared to know if the students really did grasp the concepts and make those connections? How did you know that?
by there are multiple levels, by how they will read some of their notes and then start making their own connection. They were not just verbatim reading something they reflected before. They know that I want them to become intimately familiar with that particular article. And these are only some of so many other articles that they're going to read. Although they will be doing more in groups, they will eventually be doing some individually. So the challenge for me is to produce lots of different articles. And I do have several thousand
Oh,
articles
wow.
available at the tip of my fingers.
Good. All right. Well, I'd like to just watch a quick part of the video, which I noticed, and I did have some help, of course, with this too, just to again show that the students did understand and that they were able to express themselves. So if you could kind of explain to me like what's happening a little bit, and
Sure.
then after we watch the video, and then we can go from there. Just give it a couple of seconds. Technology is not always our friend when we need it to be. Come on.
You connected to the.
Yeah, through the school, yeah, through the district Wi-Fi.
A ver, el exceso de peso,
Okay, let's wait for the group. They're going to come up.
los desechos útiles,
I think a little bit further than
la
that.
basura.
Okay, yes, here's the group that comes up. I was more focusing on
Ya que ahora tenemos fábricas,
her.
industrias y el petróleo lo
All right, let me just back up just a quick second. Okay.
esos desechos eh, que ellos desechaban, esa basura que ellos desechaban, se descomponía fácilmente ya que venía de animales o plantas y formaba parte de otra vez de la naturaleza, lo que se le llama los desechos renovables. Ahora, hace unos 200 años más o menos, descubrieron el uso de los motores y cómo sacar de la tierra los minerales y el petróleo. Y estos han contribuido bastante a nuestro desarrollo, ya que ahora tenemos fábricas, industrias y el petróleo lo utilizamos como un medio de combustible como el diésel y la gasolina.
Like, remember this part? You remember this part? Okay. So I'm gonna just go ahead and forward it a little bit more to let it catch up for the next clip I want to go over. So with that, I feel like she was able to discuss her article and then connected to real life, talking about recycling and things like that. So is that what you were looking
That's-
for?
That's exactly what it was.
Okay, go ahead.
But it's not only recycling. Let me try to remember the title of it. Let me see if I gave you
Yeah, you did. Go ahead.
the title of the.
Just talk about plant and animal trash, making motors, recycling, the benefits, the advantages, things like that, right?
Yeah, there was let's see. Aprovechando la basura. Aprovechar is to take advantage or to put it to good use.
Okay.
So trash is everything. And they defined what trash is.
Mhm.
And they said more or less a timeline. The trash really started to accumulate about 200 years ago, where factories creating massive amounts of things and exploding the earth. Prior to that, we didn't have much trash
Right.
because there were no factories. There was no, and she mentions motors and she mentions all of those things. So she was bringing it up, and she was bringing her own personal experience
Mhm.
in Cuba, which they recycle everything. And so anyway, so that was the nature of it. So yeah, I thought that they were applying it,
Mhm.
or she was applying it in that clip to the modern reality and what we can do.
Mhm.
Anyway.
Okay. So were there any like on the fly or changes of instructional adjustments that you made during the lesson?
No, there was. I think that in situations like this, it's more like jazz. When it comes with literature, it's more classical. They just follow certain patterns. But here, just to allow them to be themselves. Later on, things are going to get more adjusted.
Mhm.
Okay, where I'm going to be demanding certain things because the AP exams demand those formats.
Mhm.
But now it's just free for them with no criticism. I don't make any gestures. I don't use anything negative. I have learned that over the years. Just kind of be as neutral as possible, so that they can feel free. And once they connect to their own internal camera, then they can start narrating, and that's what I want.
Okay.
And I thought that they were doing that very well.
Yeah, I think so too. Do you mind if I show you what
No,
I
no.
saw? So I'm like, I feel like there was.
Bajos recursos y tuvieran muchas ganas de expandir su conocimiento y tener una profesión, pero no tienen el dinero y les ofrecen esta oportunidad. ¿Ustedes si recibieran ir o no?
So here, so well, the first thing I saw was at the beginning of the class, and the students asked, "Oh, can we get more time?"
5 minutes.
and you gave it to them, but you also gave them a limit so that it wasn't
The clock
extended.
is a miracle. They know it.
So I saw that, which I feel like that would have been like a on the the spur of the moment request, and you You were very flexible with that, which I think is good for teachers.
Yeah.
And then,
I knew that they were not asking me for that time instead of that, like, okay, I'm gonna fly by the seat of my pants. No.
mhm,
I knew that they just needed one final organizational piece
mhm.
because they've been working on it. But anyway, we're going.
And then the second one was here when the group they kind of took over the class.
I didn't
and
know they were gonna do that.
Right,
I didn't
and you
know.
just allowed it to happen. Like they went to start asking other groups questions about what they learned too. And so I know some teachers struggle with a little bit of control in the classroom, and they want to ask certain questions. But I feel like you let them, and you.
Any of my classes, I don't
I
have
thought
any
that was
problem.
great.
I don't have any problem.
Yeah, that's good, and that's kind of what we want, right? We want student voice. So.
If I'm gonna be spent, the moment a teacher engages with a student, just kind of punch by punch, you lost. You never win.
Mm-hmm.
Never win. Anyway, go on. I'm
Yep.
sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I enjoy this time. Okay. So do you mind if I give you so positives that I saw that I thought
Whatever
were
you
really
saw,
good?
whatever you saw.
Was just your flexibility and meeting the students where they were, giving them the extra time that they needed, allowing them to be in control of their learning. I thought that was awesome. That you have these expectations that are already understood by students when they come in the classroom. They know exactly what they're supposed to do and how it should be done. I think that's awesome. And then the students are just comfortable. Like when they
Mhm.
decided to, take over and ask questions and get participation and feedback from their peers,
I didn't know.
they're comfortable. And that's good because that's the environment that you've established.
No one knew but them.
Except that, right?
So everyone like, oh, okay.
Oh.
So they're engaged. That's another part. They were not just into themselves, trying to get ready for the next piece.
Right.
They were connected.
Right. And so, okay, so do you mind if I
No.
bring up maybe an area of possible change?
Sure,
All right.
whatever.
Again, I do appreciate this. So this is coming from the lens of a deaf and hard of hearing teacher, right?
Okay.
That's where I come from.
Okay.
So I noticed that you. Oh, that may have went too far. I noticed that you wear the microphone, right?
Mhm.
So all the students are able to hear you. But I think so. I think I counted when I was just jotting down some notes. I counted.
Más alto, por favor.
Porque es muy diferente en una universidad en Estados Unidos que hay advantages y disadvantages que desventajas que puede afectar a los estudiantes.
So what I wanted to highlight there, and I think you almost hit right there, but I think in total there was 4 times that I counted that you said más alto. And I'm like, okay, right? The students need to speak up a little bit louder so that their peers can hear them and things
Yeah.
like that. And
I
it's just,
noticed that the students, and when they go like this,
Yeah.
and when
yeah,
I have to keep bird's view
right.
of the thing.
Yeah. So I was just wondering, is there any reason why you don't use the Juno or some type of like speaker for the students or anything like that? Is
I
that?
thought about it.
Uh-huh.
I have it there, but it's dead.
Oh, okay. Easy fix. All right.
But no, it's dead.
Oh,
So I need to get a new one. So I already talked to the technology guy.
okay.
And so anyway, I tried everything, but it's dead.
It probably needs. So that's my expertise is that and like hearing aids, all that stuff. It probably needs a new
that's right,
battery.
because,
Yeah, it probably just needs a new battery. But okay, so then you do have it. So just need to fix. Okay, and that would be good because I think that would, depending on where the students are going to go with it. I think even hearing it's already hard enough to speak,
Mhm.
in front of a classroom, but then adding that extra, I feel is another layer because then they hear their voice coming from a speaker. So I think that practice would, if you're already doing great with what they're doing now, but then adding that extra.
No, but thank you for reinforcing that because I need to hear them too. I'm hard of hearing.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm deaf, by the way.
Oh,
This ear has never worked.
never.
So I read lips too.
Yeah.
So I try to look at the people too and to compensate. So I need to follow. In the dark, I have a little bit of trouble.
Okay, so
So-
you know exactly where I'm coming from. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. I'm gonna talk to the IT guy. I think it just needs a battery. Keep it simple.
He knows. I already
He
talked
knows?
to him, but he's got so much stuff.
I know they get
on-
busy, right?
He knows. He will come back to me. He's not an octopus. He's a multipus. I mean, no, a million because he's all over the place.
Oh yeah.
So I planted
understand.
the seed, and I'm going to use another image, like the image of the web of a spider.
Mhm.
He knows that I already touched, and the ripples have reached him. One of the days I'm gonna come, and he's gonna
gonna
have
be done.
some, and it's gonna be done. He's operational. Trust me.
All right, wonderful. Okay, and then I wanted to kind of look at, just trying to, listen and take in as much as possible, but also, viewing just the classroom and things like that too. Let's go here. We'll start here. So who I'm looking at, is it pronounced Giancarlo?
Giancarlo.
Yes. So I was kind of watching Giancarlo throughout the different presentations. What I noticed.
Alvin.
So what I noticed was, he talked to his partner a little bit, which was fine, but there was points in time where he put his head down, um, and when they were asked to talk amongst their groups to answer the questions, he didn't really participate in that. And so I'm just kind of curious as to, how do you engage students that are not fully participating, or what do you do
I
with
will
that?
touch his parents.
Oh.
By the way, so I call him Gian. He doesn't like Giancarlo.
Okay, yeah.
He's trying to find little ways to kind of. He didn't do very well in the previous Spanish years, so I'm helping him. Can you believe that there were two students in the classroom that failed Spanish 4,
Oh.
and they're in the class? We didn't find out until later.
Oh my! How did that happen?
So I have them,
Uh huh.
and I'm working with them.
Okay.
And I want to see what I can do, but if things don't get, to a certain level,
Mm-hmm.
okay, then there might be a change. But you wouldn't know.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know. They know that I know. One of them has never taken Spanish. Add that to the mix.
What? Oh wow! Surprise. So how do you handle that?
They're here.
Same expectations,
It's,
or is it
Same expectation.
modified
Adjustments. I
adjustments?
don't make any modifications, just adjustments.
Okay.
It's the same road, but they have to make the adjustment themselves. I'm not changing the road.
Are you finding that the students are willing to step up, or
Yes. Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
they want to stay?
They are
They're
willing
not.
to step up,
Okay.
but the gaps are significant.
Mm. Mm. Okay.
That's why we have this levels 1, 2, 3, 4,
Great.
and what have you. This is the only school in the district, by the way, if not in California, where I do not allow students to take literature from level 3. No, from level 3 to AP language or AP literature. I don't allow them.
Mm.
They have to go to AP language and culture, which is when I do a complete overview of the Spanish landscape, the
Mhm.
grammar, and the whole thing. 3 months of it. We're right in the middle of it, parallel to the subject.
Okay.
And then after they're done, then literature. So these kids,
Mhm.
those 4 that are here, they all pass the AP language and culture with a 5.
Wow, that is awesome. That is great to hear.
And they're seniors now,
Uh-huh.
so now they're in literature. I don't allow it.
Mm.
I don't allow them because how can you analyze 15th century, 12, 13, 14, 15th century or contemporary writing if you don't know how an author is going to be changing the tenses?
Oh wow. Yeah. True.
So anyway, other schools in the district, if you check,
Mhm.
they go like from 3 to AP language or AP literature. Not here. As long as I have any say, it's not going to happen.
Okay.
But if I retire, there's somebody else's domain.
Right. True. But I think it's a good setup, a good foundation that you've established. I'm hoping they
I
would
think
keep
so.
that.
Because they are also limited in English.
Mhm.
I have found a lot of students that, well, read, and you pick up English. No way. Doesn't happen that way.
No.
That's one of the, I think, shameful parts of education. You still need to know how sentences and paragraphs are constructed.
Mhm.
You need to know,
Mhm.
not just, and reading is not going to make you a writer or a good speaker. It's going to
Right.
make you a good reader.
Mhm.
So anyway, so yeah, so that's just between us here. But
Yes.
we are working with them, and they're here. No, nobody knows, but they know that I'm with them, that
Good.
I'm, uh, and I make comments, and they come up to school and say, "What do I need?" And I try to. I don't want to kill the confidence. I want to build it,
Mhm.
and then so they can get to a plateau where they say, "Yeah, I need these things,
Mhm.
so I need to go back to level 4 and take care of this." And I'm. So if they do change, which I think it will happen, then I can contact Mrs. Martinez or Mr. Alvarez,
Mhm.
and then give them. Um, I'm like a doctor. Okay, this is what I have seen. But anyway, so that's
Okay.
so you wouldn't know
Yeah.
they are participating,
Yes. Definitely.
including this one kid that was it was their
Uh-huh.
turn today.
How did it go?
It went well. Not this group.
Uh-huh.
The two girls were fantastic. The
Mhm.
young man was okay.
Mhm.
This kid, Gian,
Mhm.
he was struggling.
Okay.
He participated though. He didn't say, I'm not going to do it.
Okay. Okay.
So it's not the first time. So um, we just need a little moment. His swing is a little bit more push. But anyway,
Okay.
go ahead.
I love it. Then I think my last suggestion, if you will allow,
Sure, sure, sure.
is maybe so what I've noticed. So besides that one group, you were doing a lot of the questioning here
Mhm.
from your bird's eye view, and so I'm wondering if what would be the possibility of including students asking questions so that we are able to see that yes they were listening, they were understanding, and they're asking good in-depth questions to maybe the presenters, not the superficials, like the WH questions. We want those like whys and those really
Mhm.
deep questions. Is that something that you maybe you do it later on? I just didn't get to see it yesterday,
Mhm.
but is that something that you typically would do just to encourage you know
Yeah.
conversation?
There are 5 themes
Hmm.
that we have to cover, and each theme has fundamental questions or essential questions.
Hmm.
And there is a series of questions that come with it, all of them involving critical thinking.
Okay.
And I do all the critical thinking stuff in Spanish.
Hmm.
And so, all the different elements of critical thinking, okay, I concentrate on um, clarity and the truth, okay, and how can you verify claims and those kinds of things. So we do that in that class, and this set of articles, we're going to be reviewing them, and then I'm going to be telling them what things they should be highlighting, what things they should be highlighting next time that they give a presentation. So they already did it,
Hmm.
and they're familiar with it.
Okay.
And now,
So like text marking and annotating, is that
yeah,
what they're doing? Okay.
this is what they did today. Those kids.
Okay.
Okay, how do we determine density of a population? Why is it that um, why is it that Barbados has the highest density? What determines density? They don't know.
Mm.
And the other one that they did had to do with el exceso de peso, okay, obesity, okay, and what determines it. And so this, I'm going to go over them and what are the essential points in each paragraph,
Okay.
or anyway, and then highlight them for them, and they have it,
Hmm.
so that they could, um, the documents that they have provides for them every inch of vocabulary they need to give a presentation.
Mm. Okay.
They just need to put it together however it makes sense to them, and then things will start to click, the personal stuff. That's why, like everybody knows, that stuff of obesity, density requires some math,
Hmm.
which they were doing very well,
Good.
by the way. Anyway, so yeah, I'm always trying to, but probably if you were to be here, say, okay, give me a suggestion. I'm always open to suggestions. Okay, my tools, my toolbox, I always have room for more.
Good. All right. So then eventually the students will become the the ones that will ask the questions to get
Mhm.
clarification and things like that. Okay, that's good. I think it's good because then it shows that the presenters that they are
Yeah.
listening.
If,
Um,
if,
What? Okay, go ahead. That they're listening to the presenters, they're taking in the information, that the presenters are being clear, and because they are being clear, then they are able to ask more in-depth questions to get a little bit more clarity. So,
let's see,
what are you looking for? Maybe
I'm looking
I have
forward
no
to,
filing system, so.
the, one of the documents that I gave you with my expectations.
Okay. I think it's in there. I don't think I left it at home. I was looking through all of this last night. I
Oh,
think
okay,
it's
no,
in
that's
there.
fine. Let's see. Okay,
Oh, maybe no. I have it.
Yeah.
Here it is.
yeah, there
So
are two of
this
them.
one
right
and
there.
this one. Okay.
Yeah, here's where the questions are for each one of the others. So these are the 4 questions,
Mhm.
and this one, and then these are highly explained in each one of the different areas. Okay, like language.
Mhm.
Okay, and the 4 questions
Okay.
to judge the students by. And as you can see, okay, there will be one question here, and then the different levels. So it's really very simple. It's not. I like it simple.
Do you allow the students to grade at any point in time, possibly? Like ask questions to the presenters and then them grade each other, like peer
Opinions. Yeah, I don't use the word grade.
opinion.
Okay, opinions,
Okay.
opiniones, or cuál es tu punto de vista, what is your
What's your point?
point of view,
Uh-huh.
because that's part of searching for truth.
Yes. Okay.
When you have a claim, okay, then if I say, hey, I know how to play the guitar. Oh, really? Well, I see a guitar over there in the corner.
Let's hear it.
I'm making a claim,
Yeah.
and now I like the guitar. Can you? And then if I get it and I start strumming, or if I start, picking at it, then the person will say, yeah, his claim is true. And they can go even further. Well, he knows how to strum. Do you anything else? Anyway, that's very simple, but critical thinking is not a book that is in the shelf. It's something that we do every day.
Mhm.
Okay? And it becomes incorporated, and then just is there if you piece it.
Yeah.
Just like our conversation now, we're not mapping our sentences or graphing our paragraphs. We're just making sense. But anyway, okay. Oh, I hope that I'm coming to go in. Hi, Sandra. I'm getting younger. How about you? Oh, yes. Uh-huh. No, I don't know yet. I just started assessing him this morning. He came to my first period. And anyway, he is a very bright young guy. This 100 question assessment is from the University of Irvine, and the kid is almost done with it. But it's a 3-part test, and I had a little conversation with him, and he did work as a farmer down in Honduras because of the dangers that exist with the gangs and so on, and apparently it runs in the family. But because the kid is growing a little older, then the danger of being sucked in to those gangs became very apparent, so they sent them over to his uncles. That's all I know, and I'm not pressing anything yet. Yes, so as I find out more, then I could have a better idea because I want to know. He told me clearly that he had been out of school for he said 3-4 years that he wasn't sure. And then I asked him what he was doing. He said, well, I was agriculture. He said, and then I specifically asked him what kind of products. And he said coffee and beans, bananas, and those kinds of things. So anyway, so that's all I know so far. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, well, I don't know, but I'm gonna try and find out as much as possible because I don't think that he has ever been assessed. So I'm using the tool that I have. Then I'm gonna see if I can. Um, I can tell you one thing that his conceptualizing of things is really good, and his knowledge of the soil